in the movie justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important people. The Caseys, who investigate the movies, and the Isaacs, who shitpost the movies. These are their stories.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Crime Podcast.
It's a Law and Order episode this week.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Mind over law, mind over order. Together we are law over movies.
What does that mean, Casey?
Well, we're committing war crimes on this podcast.
I mean, standard fare for American stuff.
I mean, podcasters do it all the time. I mean, we're not doing anything new here, committing war crimes.
I mean, if Steve Bannon can get a pardon, surely we can.
Right? That's what. Yeah. Every time I think about war. Sorry, my brain, I literally died for 2 seconds there.
He's back.
I'm back. I'm better than ever. So yeah, we went to hell last episode. That was fun. Where do you think we're gonna go this episode?
Well, I thought it was more of a situation where it's like a sitcom, it's a hard reset after every episode, and we don't ever really talk about the traumatic things that happened to us in the past episodes.
Oh, shit. Okay, my bad.
But then something equally traumatic happens. So
right.
So I'll say something like, "Hey, Marge, I don't remember going to hell last week," and then in your Marge voice, you would say,
"Me neither. Let me ask Comey."
Did you watch any movies, Casey?
I watched. Oh my God, did I watch any movies? I thought I watched something. I did.
Oh no,
I did watch something.
Oh yay!
I watched a movie called Blue Steel. It's a Catherine Bigelow film with Jamie Lee Curtis.
When was that?
1990? 1990 exactly, I think.
Ooh, that's a pre-Point Break.
It is.
Bigelow.
But it's just as feminist as Point Break or anything else Catherine Bigelow has ever done. It's sneakily feminist is what it is, honestly, because, 1990. It's super good. It's about this cop who she just gets into the force, and one of her first days on the job, she shoots a man in a gas station because he's holding everybody at gunpoint, and he swings his gun around to her, and she just unloads a whole clip on him. And when this robber drops his gun, he drops it next to this guy, just it's a customer laying on the ground. And the customer sees it, and he just grabs the gun and takes it. And we figure out that he's a psychopath, and he is obsessed with Jamie Lee Curtis's character. And I think I forgot her name. Hold on, what is it? Megan. Her name's Megan. And so they form they start a romantic relationship, and she doesn't know that he's a psychopath and turning into a serial killer, and he's really weird and all this stuff. But anyway, it's really good. I loved it a lot. And I don't know why I haven't ever heard of it, or why people don't talk about it, but I don't think it's bad. It's really good in my opinion. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
I'm interested. I mean, I've always liked the stuff I've seen from Catherine Bigelow, which is shockingly little. Because, I haven't seen Hurt Locker or Zero Dark 30 or even Strange Days.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've watched Detroit. Detroit was good. and I've watched Zero Dark 30, and that
I
movie.
didn't know Detroit was her.
Yeah, Detroit. Yeah, the Zero Dark 30 had my ass was clenched the entire time. It's like the pacing of this movie is just freaking amazing. But also the Hurt Locker I watched a long time ago, so I don't remember jack shit from it. So I'm gonna have to rewatch it. But
I just remember being pissed off that Up lost to it. You know, like
oh
at the
yeah,
Oscars, like Up got nominated for Best Picture. And, you know, obviously at that point I didn't really watch movies, but like Avatar or Up is what I was rooting for. Imagine if Avatar won Best Picture in 2009. What would the world be like today, you think?
You know, I think 2020 would have been more intense if Avatar had won.
Avatar 2 might have come out in 2020.
Oh my God,
as
yeah.
originally planned.
You know, Avatar 2 was originally planned for 2012. And then it got pushed to 2016. And then it got pushed to 18. And then it got pushed to 20. And now, what is it pushed to, like, 2022?
Well, isn't it this year? I feel like Avatar 2 is this year, and then we're supposed to get one, like, every year or something. Isn't that the plan for the Avatars?
Something like that. It's like every year, every other year we get one. Hold on. Let me look up Avatar 2.
Is anyone interested in these movies? Like,
I
out
am.
of morbid curiosity, like, sure. But, like, Casey, are you interested in the continuation of, like, Jake Sully's story or, like, the Na'vi? Like, is that what you're going in for? Or are you just curious to see if James Cameron is, like, gonna fuck everything up?
I'm actually curious. But also, I love the first Avatar. Like, I know people say like, whatever. They like people say a lot of different shit about Avatar. Say what you will about Avatar, okay? I don't care. This movie is amazing, and and if they're gonna make a sequel, then hell yeah, I'm interested. I'm very interested. I'm more excited to see what they do technically than story-wise, I guess, if that makes sense.
Well, that's what Avatar has always felt like to me, is like they weren't even interested in telling that original or good of a story. They just want
Fern
to
Gully with
showcase
guns.
special effects. Like,
Yeah.
James Cameron's definitely become more interested in what he can do with technology rather than like what kind of story he can tell, I feel like.
Right. Which, by the way, Avatar 2 is coming out 2022, and guess what its budget is?
Oh, is it like 300 million?
This is saying 1 billion.
Wait, for Avatar 2?
Yeah.
So, like, just to break even, they've got to be, like, one of the highest grossing films of all time.
No, they literally...
To be clear.
They have to be the highest grossing film of all time if they want to break even.
Yeah. Oh my god, a Google search does, in fact, confirm.
It does confirm it, but I'm looking at... Okay, never mind.
What the fuck?
It's 250.
Is it $1 billion for the whole, like,
Yeah.
slew of new movies?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it is. The budget is $250 million for this one, so that would work out if they're doing 5 Avatar movies. Then we got 4 more to go, and each one is $250 million. Yeah,
I cannot believe that anyone would drop $1 billion on a promised Avatar quadrilogy. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's how you spend your money?
Yeah.
I am looking, and I am interested in the fact that, like, somehow Sigourney Weaver is coming back. And so is Stephen Lang, the villain from the first movie.
Oh, dope.
As well as Sam Worthington, Jake Sully,
Right.
who I don't remember anything about, and Zoe Saldana, who I've always thought was probably, like, the heart of the original.
Zoe Saldana has been in everything under the sun. Can we just talk about that for a second? Like, why?
No, she's painted her body all kinds of colors.
Literally.
You know, green, blue,
Blue, yeah.
indicate further colors here.
Red.
Red.
I don't know if she's been red, but
That doesn't feel too off base.
honestly, no.
Could be right. No, I really like Zoe Saldana though. I think that she's one of those actresses that always like you can tell is really trying. But she's just got to be like the most successful actress actually if you think about it like you know, the Avengers movies have made billions of dollars. She's in the 2 highest grossing movies of all time.
Yeah.
Avatar and Endgame. Like that's insane.
And she's in the Star Trek movies.
And she plays a pretty good Uhura.
Yeah.
Like,
and
people definitely don't bash her in those movies. Like, she's great. Yeah, if there's anything wrong with the new Star Trek movies, it's definitely not the actors. Like, I've always felt like everyone's pretty perfectly cast in those newer movies. I think it's just like J.J. Abrams really derailed that franchise with Into Darkness. And speaking of derailment, I watched Last Jedi Return of the Jedi this week, and a lot of people argue that that's where Star Wars got derailed, and I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that.
Well, if anybody knows me, knows my letterbox, they'll see that I have Return of the Jedi at a whopping 5 stars because it's my favorite of the original trilogy.
Really?
Yeah. Even though I do recognize its flaws and I kind of agree. I can see where things were starting to go south and where things were kind of like, oh yeah, I can see how this can get bad in 20 years if it's not done right, which it happened. But still, Return of the Jedi, I think is still an amazing movie and still has the same amount of heart and good storytelling that the first 2 do.
It's definitely got heart, and it still has good storytelling. I would say that the overall story of Return of the Jedi is pretty great. I think that the stuff with the Emperor and Luke and Darth Vader is some of the most iconic stuff in Star Wars, and just the dialogue and the music there is incredible. Like, I think you'd have to be a damn fool to say the ending of Return of the Jedi is not great. Where I see people taking issue with the movie and definitely feeling that criticism is valid is like the odd side story stuff, like the Ewoks being such a major focus. Like, I remember as a kid, I loved the Ewoks. And now, I don't hate the Ewoks. But it definitely is, like very cheesy and very indicative of where, like, the franchise was going. Like, George Lucas was always going to be more concerned about, like, weird aliens that he could make and their quirky antics. Because the Ewoks aren't any funnier than, like...
the Porgs.
The Porgs. Well, I wasn't gonna say the Porgs. I was gonna compare them more closely to like the Gungans.
Right.
Like, I think the only difference is that the Gungans are like oddly racist enough to be more off-putting than the Ewoks, and also they're freakish in CGI. But I mean, if George Lucas could have made CGI Ewoks, he clearly would have done it. If the special editions are any indicator of that, he's digitized everything else. But no, I really like Return of the Jedi. I definitely this time around could tell that my preferences when it comes to Star Wars, like Empire is like my ideal Star Wars movie, and coming from that to Jedi was rougher this time, and I noticed that in like the Batman trilogy too. Like, when I watched Dark Knight and then watched Dark Knight Rises back to back, that Dark Knight Rises is like a tougher watch. Like, I think I needed more time between watching these movies or something, because I don't know how to describe it other than like I feel like Return of the Jedi is just more of a side adventure, and it feels less important than Empire, even though it's the ending of the trilogy. Like,
I think I know what you mean, actually.
Yeah, like do you kind of feel like the stakes have died down a little bit, even though
Yeah.
they should be kind of like ramping up?
Yeah, they should. Yeah, it definitely feels like that. I think what it is that the fight on Endor could have been like a dope ass fight, like a dope ass like
Mm-hmm.
battle between the troopers and the rebellion and then Darth Vader and Luke. But adding the Ewoks as a sort of cutesy thing, and also adding adding them in there for comedic relief, was which when Star Wars isn't even that dark, but I feel like he thought maybe like the ending could be like really dark if he didn't add something in there for comic relief. And so that's all they serve. But I feel like if the Ewoks were taken out and maybe the some plot lines were changed just like a little bit, like the very end could have a little bit of a bigger struggle. I feel like
Yeah.
it would have been a little bit, better of
Well,
a
I really like
ending.
the original idea for this movie, that it would be called Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And some of the plot lines from that were abandoned, like in Revenge of the Jedi, which Gary Kurtz was still on board for. We would have seen, instead of Ewoks, we would have seen Wookiees. It would have been Kashyyyk, Chewbacca's home planet, and he would have been fighting alongside other Wookiees, and that
Ooh.
infinitely sounds better in my head.
Yeah, why didn't they
Um,
do that, damn it?
well, because Wookiees, it's something to do with like costing more money. I'm pretty sure George Lucas just changing his mind that
Right.
more Wookiees would be not as great. But also in that version, Han Solo was supposed to die per Harrison Ford's request. He was like, I want a heroic death for the character. And I honestly think that would have been just fine, because if you watch Return of the Jedi, like everyone's oddly safe, like
Mm-hmm.
Princess Leia gets shot in the shoulder like once, maybe.
Yeah, boo-hoo.
And that's like the only moment where you're like worried for anyone. And I mean Luke, I'm worried for Luke when he's on the Death Star, like he's getting
Yeah.
zapped and you're like, "Oh shit. Is he going to die?" Like,
Yeah.
but I think that throughout the rest of the movie, though, it's pretty light, and you're not really all that worried. Like, I think that the most intense moment of the movie is when they're trying to get onto Endor itself, and like they pass a shuttle, and Luke's like, "Oh, Darth Vader's on that shuttle. I've screwed everything up." And then like Vader like is like, "Ooh, do we know about that shuttle? Like that shuttle in particular?" And I forgot about that scene. I was just kind of like biting my nails. I was like, "Oh my, do they know that they're on Endor already?"
Right.
But I don't know. I don't dislike Return of the Jedi at all. In fact, I think it's better than most Star Wars movies. I just can definitely now see why people might be disappointed in it as a conclusion coming off of Empire, and also how it might have led to like the formula in the prequels, which
Right.
is rehash stuff we know. I've kind of been holding off on saying it, but I think my biggest criticism of Return of the Jedi is that it is in a lot of ways New Hope again. You have the Death Star, it's back. You have Darth Vader, who went from dog of the Empire to like straight up SS officer in Empire Strikes Back. Go back to being the dog of the Emperor now. And you have, this time around, Luke and Leia at least don't want to bang each other, so that's better than New Hope
True.
already. But okay, and that's maybe my final thing with the movie, is that it introduces plot points that George Lucas will insist were planned, but clearly weren't.
It's
Like, you
horny.
cannot tell me that he planned Luke and Leia to be brother and sister. That does not compute. There was way too much, like, sexual tension between them in the first movie, and then even in the second movie, they made out. Like,
Right.
I don't think you're that into incest, George. I think you just didn't know. how your characters were related to each other and you just made it up on the spot. That's all I want to hear from him is that he's like a confession that he never wrote the prequels before the other movies, or that he never had like a story map. Because it would make me feel so validated. Like right now I feel effing crazy.
Oh my god.
But before we jump into the meat of the episode, I wanted to ask, have you seen Trial of the Chicago 7 yet?
No, I have not. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. Every time I think, should I watch that? I look at it and I really don't want to. Like, not because of the source material, just because I've watched enough true crime, or I guess this is not considered true crime. It's like what would you call this?
Well, this is just like a courtroom movie.
Yeah, like I don't know. I'm just tired of like things like that. Not that it's not an important movie and that it's not good. Like I've just been, it just doesn't interest me right now. I'll probably watch it at some point, but it seems like
I thought it was kind of relevant. Like I don't think that it's your average court case movie. I think that it has a lot to say about corruption in the justice system and also in our police force. I don't know. It felt shockingly relevant for a movie that was made before the Capitol riots. This is a movie about like the Nixon's administration pursuing, charges against people with incitement to riot, and it was like a Vietnam peace protest, And so that just feels like shockingly relevant to today, and as well as the Black Lives Matter cause, because the Black Panthers are very heavily featured in this movie in an interesting way. I don't know. I just think that Sorkin's such a good writer that he really shouldn't have to be paired with such a mediocre director like Aaron Sorkin, It's like the dialogue is electric, but these are some of the stalest shots, and I think even the cast is, other than Sacha Baron Cohen, who was a surprisingly good pick, and Yahya Abdul Mateen, who is excellent in everything he's in. He's in Watchmen, and he's in this, and now I can't think of anything else he's been in, but he's always great. Aside from like a couple of really great casting choices, it just seems like he was filling out his list with like celebrities on this one. And I don't know, like this might be kind of controversial, but I just don't like Eddie Redmayne that much usually.
Yeah.
And this movie, he was like distracting to me. Like I liked the character he was playing, but I didn't necessarily love Eddie Redmayne's like American accent or anything. I don't know.
Right.
And I know that'll cause some woe with some people I know, but he's good sometimes. I just think that he might have been miscast here.
Right. Well,
yeah. Now I've gotten that out of my system. we gotta get into the meat and the potatoes, Kaiser.
Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Today. Isaac, first order of business. Have you watched WandaVision yet?
Oh, nope.
It's so good.
I'll maybe watch it this week, but I know me, and I know the more episodes that pile up, without me having watched them, the longer it'll take me for me to watch it. So it's just an endless cycle.
That's okay. So far it's really good. Episode 3, super dope. Really enjoyed it. There's nothing really much to say because I don't want to spoil anything. But episode 3 was really good. And anyway, so we thought that today we would talk about the good old Marvel.
Yes, we figured in celebration we could rank some of our favorite Marvel movies, but also some of our least favorite Marvel movies, because I feel like both of those extremes vary for people. Like, you know, some people really like some of these movies and think that they're like top 3 material, and like something in someone else's top 3 might be in someone else's like bottom 3. So it just seemed interesting to discuss what we think when it comes to Marvel, which Casey and I have discussed before, and we actually have kind of similar opinions, so you might not hear too much controversy on this episode.
I'm not going to be taking any L's today, ladies and gentlemen. I will not be taking the L's.
Yeah, that's because this is, in my opinion, the bottom 3 is some of the easiest stuff, because everyone's got their like least favorite Marvel movie in it, and I'm pretty sure it's all the same for people. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, if I count down from 3, Casey, can we both say our least favorite Marvel movie? Because I think it might be the same one.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Thor: The Dark World. Yep. Nice.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just obvious. Like, this movie has never received any love from the community. Like, it came out and was immediately forgotten. That's my view on it. Like,
yeah,
I haven't seen it actually since I saw it in theaters, and the only reason I saw it in theaters is, well, I was a teenager who really likes keeping up with Marvel movies, and I like to be part of the culture. So
yeah,
I went.
I've seen it several times, and it's super bad. Super bad. Forgettable, lazy.
That's the thing, is it's very forgettable. Like, I remember some basic like plot points.
Does the mom die, or does she not die?
No, she dies.
She dies.
That I remember mainly because of Endgame. Like,
yeah, no, I was asking you. I was like, well, that's a pretty big important thing that happens. I wonder if he'll remember.
I think I remembered it even before I saw Endgame, but I'm not sure actually. I remember like Stellan Skarsgård is like bad. Is he bad?
Stellan Skarsgård? No, I love Stellan Skarsgård. Except, well, in the Dark World.
No. I mean, is he a bad guy in the movie?
Oh, no. The bad guy is
the Ninth Doctor.
The Ninth Doctor. Yeah, that's what I was literally about to say. Yeah, it's yeah. No, but Stellan Skarsgård just runs around naked a lot in the movie.
Oh, that's right, because he's crazy. Or they think he's crazy. No, I don't remember very much from this movie at all, but like what I do remember, I'm not a big fan of. I think the only thing that really continues to work in this Thor movie is Chris Hemsworth kind of as Thor. Like, I still don't care about him yet in this one, and
yeah, me neither.
And Loki has always been pretty solid in all of the movies. I think he kind of peaked in Avengers, the first one, but I mean, to each his own. I do like him in the later Thor installments, though. Like, Ragnarok is solid.
Right. I honestly, I think what went wrong with Thor: The Dark World was a couple of plot threads that they didn't expand on enough. For example, the Stellan Skarsgård running around naked. Like, that's just a stupid little plot thread. And then also the villain is super weak as a one of the cogs in my brain just absolutely busted.
He's just not very scary.
Is not very well written, is what I meant to say. And no, he's not very scary at all. His whole shtick is, I want to consume the world in darkness, and that's it. Like, there's like nothing else to that, and it's really boring and it's really bad, and I hate it. So
yeah, and I mean that's something that you see in a lot of early Marvel movies is like the villains are always pretty weak. And I mean that's still a problem today, but I mean we're coming off of an age with like villains like Thanos and the Vulture. I mean, we've had it pretty good as of late, but you know, traveling far back enough, you definitely see how early Marvel had pretty terrible villains, and it was just distracting. You know, like you come into a movie and you get like, I mean, even the good Marvel movies, you get like some solid like witty banter and like wonderful performances by the main actors, and then the villain shows up and you're like, oh my god, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that's just that stink pile. What would you say is your next worst one?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm having a hard time trying to pick my next one because there's a couple that vie for my top pick or my second pick, but you know, I guess yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I don't care that you broke no. I'm gonna go ahead and say, and you might disagree with me on this, but Captain Marvel is my second pick. My number 2.
I don't have love for Captain Marvel. I did consider it. It's pretty close to my bottom 3.
Yeah.
But
It you know, it came out in 2019, and now listen, everybody, I have a reason. It's not because she's a woman, like you may think. No, it came in 2019, and we are like at like Marvel MCU peak in this year, right? Coming off of Infinity War, about to go into Endgame, and it is so, one, boring, and two, absolutely a retread of like earlier like MCU entries. Like it has all the problems of the first like 5 to 6 MCU films that they later kind of ironed out in their later films. And I'm not sure why it still has these problems, but I mean, I absolutely did not care about Captain Marvel as a superhero, like I should have. I mean, it's the first female-led MCU film. It should have been great, and it wasn't. There's two direct. It was directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, which I don't know how that duo works. I don't know what else they have directed, but I will tell you that I did not like Captain Marvel at all, and also I did not like the villain either. And
oh yeah, Jude Law like surprisingly weak in this movie. Like,
right?
I mean,
Jude Law
usually
is hot.
at least with him,
like,
you can get like some scenery chewing or
Yeah.
something, but he doesn't even do that too much. He's just boring.
I think Ben Mendelsohn was like the biggest surprise of this movie that I enjoyed, but that's not really a surprise because Ben Mendelsohn is Ben Mendelsohn. So
no, he's great in everything he's in, and that's saying a lot for me because I don't like most of the things I've seen Ben Mendelsohn in. Like I don't like Rogue One that much, but
Right.
I do like Ben Mendelsohn in that. I don't really care for Captain Marvel, but I think Ben Mendelsohn is very funny in this movie, and like it was a nice twist. Like of the things in Captain Marvel that I appreciate, I think that like Samuel L. Jackson looks pretty good. His CG. I don't know if I love the dynamic between Nick Fury and Brie Larson in this movie, but
it's okay.
I mean, you can tell they like each other.
Oh,
Brie Larson
definitely.
cast him in her movie.
Yeah.
Unicorn Store.
Yeah, true.
They must be friends.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's definitely chemistry in their performance. I could tell, which I really like that aspect of the film. But just pretty much everything else was pretty much a miss for me.
No, yeah, I don't really remember the movie all that well. 2 years out, almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think I'll ever revisit it, to be honest.
They
that boring.
I'm honestly, I will. I mean, I revisit all the Marvel movies about every other year. I go through and I watch all 20 something, 23 now of them, and now I've got shows to add to that. For me, it's kind of fun to watch, to just kind of go back and watch them, and then watch the evolution of everything, especially as like we get more films and made, and it adds to the universe. To me, it's really cool. Yeah, I see the problems with it, but we can get into that here in a minute. But let's keep talking about the shitty ones.
My next shitty one is not everyone's like least favorite, but I just really don't care for these movies, and the second one especially was really bad. I would have to say Ant-Man and the Wasp is my next pick for bottom feeders.
Yeah,
I just really do not care for the Ant-Man movies. Like the first one is like competent. Like I think Peyton Reed did a great job imitating what Edgar Wright had in mind for Ant-Man, and I think, my biggest problem with that movie will always be we could have had Edgar Wright's Ant-Man, which that sentence alone is incredible.
Yeah.
And God, it makes me sad to know it'll never, see the light of day outside of like some test footage, but that's not its only problem, by the way. Like, I think that Ant-Man 1, is pretty funny, but just overall, like, I don't really care that much about Scott Lang as a character.
Really?
I think that he's fine. Like, I think that Paul Rudd is, like, perfectly charming or whatever. And, when he gets to play around with the Avengers and Endgame, I'm like, oh, he's fun. But I think that's the only time that I've ever really enjoyed watching the character is in Endgame. So take that and add that to Ant-Man and the Wasp, which came out at a terrible time. Like, the fact that this was the movie that they decided to release after Endgame not Endgame, Infinity War baffles me.
Yeah.
Like, you're going from that to Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's the transition you want?
It's so frustrating too, because Ant-Man and the Wasp has really important story threads that have a ripple effect on the rest of the universe, and the movie is so messy. Like,
it's messy and it's forgettable, which is something that's so unfortunate to see, because the movie definitely is trying to, like, this is celebrity stunt casting at its worst. Like, they get really good actors to be in this movie just to waste them. Like, Lawrence Fishburne is not used at all. Michelle Pfeiffer, I hardly remember how she was involved in the movie, and I couldn't even tell you, is she like Evangeline Lilly's mom, or like, what's her deal?
Yeah, she is. She's
just stuck in like she's
stuck
dimension.
in the other dimension. Yeah. Can I just say though that I think, even like, we could talk about Michelle Pfeiffer being kind of useless in the movie, but the most useless character in that movie is Walton Goggins' character.
Yeah, what's he even in it for?
I don't know, but I love Walton Goggins, but holy crap, do I hate that character in that movie. That whole plot line is so stupid. It's so stupid. I don't know.
It's really bad, man. I definitely feel like the problem with villains is like so apparent in this movie. Like, the Ghost character,
the Ghost villain's no
is
good.
undermined by like the other like three parties out there, because like Walton Goggins is running around, and then isn't there some like other group, like, I don't even
I'm pretty
remember,
sure there's
dude.
like 3 villains in this movie, but there's also like 3 different plots going on at the same time, and it's not good. But
it's just a mess. It's not that funny, and honestly, it's just a weird way to follow Infinity War. Like, if you're watching these movies, I hope you don't watch them in production order. Like, when it comes to this, like, I honestly hope that people watch Ant-Man and the Wasp before Infinity War. Like, I just cannot imagine having a movie marathon and going from Infinity War to this, like,
yeah,
which
and
isn't really a valid criticism of this movie to say like, oh, it doesn't pair well with another, but like when your movie franchise is basically a TV series, I think it's fair game to say that one episode didn't really jive well with another, and that's
Right.
exactly what Marvel's going for. They just want to make television with a bigger budget and
Yeah, dude,
longer runtime,
they hire TV directors. Like if you
TV
ever,
directors aren't difficult, you don't have to fire a TV director for getting too big.
like Kevin Feige is essentially a showrunner. He's like the producer, the executive producer of everything. But he's a showrunner. If you ever wonder where the hell the Russo brothers came from, because the only other notable film they had under their belt before, Captain America: The Winter Soldier was You, Me, and Dupree. It's because they worked in TV, and that's what Marvel wants. They want people to work with super easily, so they can every film they make has a certain aesthetic to it that feels like it's from the same cloth, and but also directors that can put different spins on the movie so they feel different enough for all the freaking critics to go out there and say, oh, this Marvel movie's different, it's got Taika Waititi. We did comedy this time.
Yeah.
They just turned up the comedy dial, and it's different, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen, and it's actually just the exact same thing we've been seeing, but just slightly different. The cloth is just a different color. But anyway, that's a different rant. But yeah.
Oh man, to think that I was considering that Taika Waititi one as like one of my top picks.
I mean, that's okay. I'm gonna take the L on the Thor Ragnarok discussion because I know.
It didn't make my top 3, but like I do think it's one of the better Marvel movies.
For me, it's not even one of the better ones. For me, it's just middling. Like, yeah. Like it's.
Casey, you said you're gonna go into this with no L's, and here you are.
I know. I'm taking the L.
Big fat one right there.
Well,
Jeez, just tell me your next favorite.
Let me hold on.
Favorite.
Let me redeem myself real quick. My last least favorite MCU movie is obviously The Incredible Hulk.
Really?
Edward Norton is a miscast. I don't care what anybody says. He did an okay job. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. He did an okay job as the Hulk. But holy shit, I would have loved to see anybody else in that role other than him. And I also would have loved to see some maybe better or different CGI. The only thing that makes me want to watch this movie, ever, I've only seen it, I saw it in theaters and I watched it a couple times after, and every time I watch the MCU movies, I never watch it because it's just absolutely, it's not canon in the MCU to me. But only reason I watch this movie is for that insanely, just orgasmic Hulk versus Abomination fight in the last 30 minutes.
Is it good?
I love the Hulk Abomination fight, and I've talked to a couple of other people that say they also think the fight is really, really good because you got Hulk, swinging around like a chain with a wrecking ball. I don't know. The fight is so intense and so just Hulkish, it's what a Hulk fight should be. And I really like it for that. But the rest of the movie absolutely sucks, and it's definitely probably the worst of the MCU movies besides Thor: The Dark World. But
in Captain Marvel, I mean, where does it rank?
I'd say if we're gonna put these 3 least favorite MCU movies in a ranking, then number 3 is Captain Marvel, number 2 is The Incredible Hulk, and number 1 is Thor: The Dark World. So
okay.
Yeah.
I like your choice. I honestly haven't seen Incredible Hulk in such a long time that I didn't feel comfortable putting it in the bottom 3.
Gotcha.
And that was the same situation with Iron Man 2. But a movie that I did remember and I really dislike. In fact, I think I could honestly say I hate this movie. The more time that passes, the more I am comfortable saying this. I
Uh-oh.
think Age of Ultron
Oh my god, I
belongs
forgot
on
about
the
Age of
bottom three.
Ultron.
And that's the thing, is for an Avengers movie, like it's by far the weakest one. It's the
Oh,
one
yeah.
everyone fucking forgets about.
Yeah.
And I would argue that this is the point where the Marvel universe started hitting like made for TV vibes. Like this movie just feels like 3 episodes of a television show like crammed into one, you know? Like there's so much random shit going on. Like you have the introduction of the character of Vision, you have the introduction of the villain Ultron, you have Thor like going off on some like weird side quest that maybe will like factor into things. You've got Iron Man and Captain America splitting off their friendship for Civil War, which is really weak in this movie. They just like pull some like wood apart and that's their tension for
Right,
this
right.
one.
Yeah.
And like also, if you're trying to make Iron Man sympathetic going into Civil War, here he is at his fucking dumbest. Like there was
Yeah.
no reason to make Ultron. There was no reason for the like robots, like robot policemen. Like what was up
I mean,
with Tony Stark in this movie?
they'll say it's because of Thanos and the fear that he put in from the first movie, the attack on New York. But for it to stand on its own, it doesn't work. You know, like I remember the first 2 times I watched Age of Ultron, I was confused as hell about things. I've since seen the movie about 5 times, and I understand now that it just kind of sucks. But there's like way too much stuff going on in it.
It's definitely like it's like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 of its universe. Like I do feel like this is a transition movie, and that they were setting up a lot of stuff, some of which never really came to fruition. Like I don't think that. Well, I mean, obviously with WandaVision going on, maybe there's more happening, but like I think within the movies, Scarlet Witch and Vision are very weak characters, and I think their introduction in this movie was supposed to lead to like bigger and better things, and like in terms of the movies, we just haven't seen that yet. And I mean, obviously, I'll watch WandaVision soon because I would like to see these characters have any development. But on top of that, you've got like Quicksilver, who you'll have to remember we saw first in an X-Men movie in Days of Future Past. Mm-hmm. And by God, you are taking the L even trying to compete with that. Like the kid from Kick-Ass, I think, plays Quicksilver in this movie, and he is just so forgettable. I just remember that he has like a Russian accent, and he dies.
And he's introduced for one movie and he dies. And I would have loved to see Quicksilver in another like MCU movie. I think that would have been cool, but no, he dies. He dead.
And like it's odd for like a franchise that like spares its main characters like any real consequences that they would kill Quicksilver. But I do think that it should have been maybe a trend that was followed up on, but with like a developed character. Like I think that's one of the biggest missed opportunities in Civil War is War Machine is crippled, but like it could have been like an actually like very powerful moment if he was like killed during that skirmish. And that's what I thought they were building to, honestly, in the trailer. But I don't know, like it's not done well in this movie. I'm not saying that's like a win killing Quicksilver. I'm just saying that it's weird to introduce like stakes like that in this movie and then like never follow up on them. Which, speaking of stakes, this movie's stakes are so low. Like Ultron does not ever seem to have the upper hand in any of the fights that he gets in. This is every character is cracked out. So I don't want to hear people like say Captain Marvel is too powerful.
Yeah.
For her own good, because just watch Age of Ultron, where every character is ridiculously cracked out. Like they never break a sweat doing anything in this fucking movie. Even Vision, who was just introduced, like goes ahead and wipes out Ultron with no fanfare. Like it's such a nothing movie to me. And it's such a shame to remember being excited for it at the time, and like to think about. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was gonna say the trailers were so good for this movie.
Yes, like the ones with like the I got no strings on me.
Yeah. They were super, like, it was like a super dark and like gritty like trailer, and it looked like things are gonna be happening. And then we watched the movie, and it's like, no.
Like the Hulk and Iron Man were gonna throw down. And
which I do
Ultron
like that.
Was really
that
gonna
scene,
mess up.
But
Yeah. That scene slaps. It's definitely not what we thought it would be based on the trailer, though. But I mean, it's still a good scene.
Yeah.
I don't know. Overall, like, just very disappointing, very forgettable, and I think it marks a point in Marvel where like it, transition movies were now fair game, and like bland, forgettable stuff like Ant-Man and the Wasp was essentially able to happen because of movies like Age of Ultron. And also Joss Whedon is just not that great of a director. Anyway, just getting all that out of the way.
Gotcha.
We've got the negative behind us. I mean, Casey, do you want to lead us into one of your favorite Marvel movies?
Yeah, let's go. First off, I don't think I'm going to be taking any L's this time. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with a classic, one of my favorites.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's Captain America, the Winter Soldier, baby.
Hey!
It's one of the best ones. There's no doubt this is Joe and Anthony Russo's debut, and it is one of the best. I just lost the word. What is the word for this? It's the it's on the tip of my tongue. Espionage. Movies.
Thrillers.
Thriller. Yes, it is. So this is one of those movies where the trailer the movie didn't disappoint based on the trailer. Like, I saw the trailer, thought it looked amazing, saw the movie, was better than I even expected. It's crazy. The only thing bad I have to say about this movie is at the very end sequence when S.H.I.E.L.D. is basically getting destroyed. I'm just thinking, where are the Avengers? This is like an Avenger level event, but Captain America, he handles it. But I'm willing to forgive that small part of the movie, because that's like almost in every MCU film. It's like, why aren't the
like
Avengers
every
just...
post-Avengers movie is like,
exactly,
where the fuck was everyone?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they come help? The universe was about to end. What were you doing?
True. But no, it's a great like spy thriller espionage movie. Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans relationship, their chemistry in the movie is amazing. Samuel L. Jackson gets like the most screen time besides the Avengers movies, like in this movie, and it's great. The Crossbones character, which he only becomes Crossbones in Civil War, I know, but when he's introduced in this movie, he's cool. I like him. And I gotta say, my favorite scene of the whole movie is when they go to the secret S.H.I.E.L.D. bunker, which was actually a Hydra bunker, and you see the Zoloft is like... Zoloft, is that his name? It's like... I think it's like...
Zemo, you mean?
No. Zemo, Baron Zemo's in Civil War. It's like he was like uploaded into the computer, and he's like talking to Captain America. Like, that scene is just really like it's weird.
The scientist with the little glasses.
I thought his name.
Yeah,
I thought his name was like Zoloft.
Maybe.
Not like Zoloft, like the medicine.
Yeah,
like,
I was just about to say, like,
yeah, no.
Too much like it.
You talk about it. I don't know. Let me look it up while you talk.
This is like my second favorite Marvel movie. Like, this is definitely my runner-up, and it's very close. I I just really love how this movie makes you forget that you're watching a Marvel movie, and it really does feel like you're in kind of an intense thriller. Like, I'll never forget seeing this in theaters. I thought Samuel L. Jackson was dead, dude. Like, I thought they killed him off for this movie, and that was just an incredible moment to have. And, like,
Yeah.
Shield being destroyed so quickly after the Avengers was like unforgettable. Like, what a shocking like turn of events. You know, this organization that everyone knew was like important to the comics and was established as very important in the first Avengers movie, as well as in a TV show. Like, oh my god, they just destroyed it.
Mm-hmm.
That was just
Yeah.
incredible. And also, I've got to say, the villain of the Winter Soldier is so good.
Yeah.
Like, the Sebastian Stan is scary in this movie and sympathetic at the same time. Like, every time Steve throws down with him, you know, there's just such a mix of emotions in the audience, just like there is for Steve. And like, even Robert Redford and like all the Shield agents that turn out to be like Hydra operatives, like, that's crazy to watch too. At the same time, you're just like,
Yeah, I
oh my
love all
god.
that. Yeah. Yeah, it was such a like a mind fuck in theaters. Like,
I've only seen it one time, but I've never forgotten
Really?
how much it impacted me and how good it was. Like, this is a class act Marvel movie. And
yeah.
I think this is what I want more of the movies to be like. And I also like Civil War, but I don't think it's as solid as this
Right,
one.
right.
Like, I think as a follow-up, I definitely prefer this one, in large part because the Avengers don't show up. Like, I almost think that's the fault in Civil War, is that it's like borderline an Avengers movie, and I almost don't want that. Like, I kind of just want Captain America on his own, because his movies are probably consistently the best.
Right.
When I say consistently, I don't mean that they are the best. I just mean usually when you're jumping into a Captain America movie, you know it's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that there's any other franchise within the Marvel universe that you can say that about. Like, it's definitely not true of Thor. It's not true of Iron Man.
Yeah. Well,
It's,
we'll have to see if Spider-Man 3 goes well, then Spider-Man will be like the new like kind of like perfect.
yeah, but a lot of people don't like Far
trilogy.
From Home. Like,
Well, I
and-
mean,
and
Far
some
From Home
people-
has its problems, but is Far From Home as bad as Iron Man 2 or Thor: The Dark World, really?
No, of
Yeah.
course not. I like the Spider-Man movies a lot. I'm just saying unanimously, like, could people agree on that?
Yeah, I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
And a lot of people would be screaming at me right now, I think, because Guardians of the Galaxy also comes to mind, but I don't think 2's very good.
Yeah, I mean, I love number 2, but I think 2's a little bit weaker than 1. 1 was a hard feat to, like, beat, even, because 1 is amazing, but...
Dude, I have Guardians of the Galaxy 2 behind the likes of, like, Doctor Strange and Ant-Man and Iron Man 3 even. Like, I do not care for 2.
Really?
Yeah. That's like, I don't know. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but
Right.
what?
No, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, I think that Winter Soldier is a fantastic pick for your number 3 spot, but I think that an essential Marvel movie that I'm sure has aged a little bit, and, you know, people don't see it as perfectly as they used to. But the first Avengers movie, I think, has got to be my number 3 pick, because I'll never forget the feeling of going to see this movie and actually seeing this universe, like, come together for the first time. Like, it's incredible what they pulled off here.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible.
It's really easy to forget how, like, what a novelty it was, right? Like, you know, it's happened so many times since, but
Yeah.
back in 2012 when Avengers dropped, like, everyone lost their fucking minds, dude.
Yeah, me and my mom went to go see it at the drive-in, and I remember I think it was just me and her. I asked her if we could go see it, and she brought me, and it was so amazing. I was so giddy and I was so happy, and it was absolutely better than I ever could have thought it would be. You know, I was under the impression like, this will never work. Like it's probably going to be bad, but like no, it's absolutely like yin and yang. There's a balance in the movie that is so just expertly like achieved and crafted, and I gotta say it's really good. It's A plus.
I think, like, looking back, there's definitely problems with the story. And I mean, even Joss Whedon's directing probably doesn't hold up as well as it does in my head canon. Like, in my mind, there's Avengers, like that perfect little crossover movie. And I'm sure if I were to rewatch it with a critical eye, like, there'd be problems. But like, I think that you can be biased towards a movie because of the context of it, because of the historical like significance of it. And I think that Avengers is so significant. Like, not only did Marvel pull off the impossible, which is getting an Avengers movie out before DC got a Justice League movie out,
right?
But it being good, like it being competent in any way. And I think one of the things I like about it the most is that it addresses something that you wouldn't expect a movie like this to address, which is if you get a lot of big personalities together in a room, they're going to fucking clash, dude. Like,
yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about this first Avengers movie is Iron Man and Thor and Captain America and the Hulk. They just, like, don't get along. And you have to actually see them build a relationship as a team. And I don't know, dude. It's so satisfying to like see that come into fruition in the finale. Like, this is one of those movies for sure that it was more culturally acceptable to like clap, like during like scenes that you thought were awesome.
Yeah,
it wasn't like super cringy to do that yet. Like, that scene with the Hulk and he like grabs Loki and he's like bop bop bop, which feels like such a 2012 like meme. But I remember, everyone clapped for that, and they were like, ah ha ha ha. I missed that. That's so pure.
I know. I specifically remember that moment and just losing my shit. Like, I love moments like that in this film. I think work really well.
Yeah, audiences are so much harder to please, and that shit just does not happen anymore. Although I will say, when I saw Joker with a Thai audience in Thailand, I was very surprised to see that the scene where the little midget can't reach the lock got uproarious laughter, and this had been a theater that had been silent throughout the rest of the movie. Suddenly,
God.
like, little small man can't reach lock. They were like, how's he gonna get out of there?
That's so bad.
Yeah, dude. But I mean, Avengers, dude. What can I say other than
heck yeah,
I love this movie still, even if it's got its flaws. And
right.
Fuck Age of Ultron again. They really ruined a good thing.
True, they did. But they kind of brought it back. I think I'm gonna go ahead and give my other two top ones because I don't think they're very different from yours, and I also don't think that anybody's like not gonna see it coming. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Bring it.
So, my other two picks, real quick. Going number 2, we're going Infinity War. Saw this 4 times in theaters. I think coming back from Age of Ultron, they really had to impress us, and it did. I think it's about just as good as the first Avengers, in my eyes at least. Probably Avengers is a little better than Infinity War, but I still love Infinity War. And
Infinity War is great.
Oh, Infinity Wars, yeah.
I did consider it in place of the original Avengers movie because I do think that they took the franchise in such interesting directions, and like Thanos is so great. It's probably better than Avengers, but hey, again, cultural context here.
Exactly. And my number 1 pick You already know who it is. It's
Copyrighted
Iron Man,
music
baby.
is not cool. It's Iron Man, baby.
It's Iron Man. It's got to be. Was Iron Man going to be your top pick?
Yep, Iron Man's my top pick, baby.
What was your other one?
What?
What was your other pick?
Oh, it was Winter Soldier. Yeah, I had Winter Soldier at number 2.
Gotcha.
And then Iron Man. It's been my number 1 from day one. I love Iron Man, dude. And yeah, I mean, sure, some of the criticisms we've brought up over the past hour are still applicable to this movie. Like, I fully acknowledge that Jeff Bridges is not the best villain in all of Marvel, or even that good of a villain.
Right.
But I still love it. It's Jeff Bridges, and he's like screaming at people. He's like, he was in a cave. Yeah.
Tony Stark did this in a cave with scraps. And the scientist just looks at him. He's like, well, I'm not Tony Stark. And then 20 years later, in Spider-Man Far From Home, he comes back to help Mysterio because he's mad at Tony Stark because Jeff Bridges yelled at him.
Well, isn't that incredible, though, the power that this first Iron Man movie has, that, like, they can just bring back random-ass side characters and people will be like, oh my god, that's so cool. They brought back the Scientist Man from Iron Man 2008.
He was literally probably listed as scientist in the credits of Iron Man, and then in Far From Home, he's evil scientist. But
I think Iron Man is like the only Marvel movie to me that feels like a full, like I think Iron Man's the only Marvel movie that I can watch on its own and just be like, okay, you know what?
Right,
I'm done.
I
don't
now.
need a marathon.
Yeah.
There it is in the movie. It's a solid movie. And that's the thing, is like, it's unfortunate that it came out in 2008, because any other year it would have easily been the best superhero movie of its year. But I mean, it's The Dark Knight you're going against. I mean, you were always going to lose that, baby. You were always going to lose that.
Yeah.
But
it's a losing battle.
I think it's a very close second for that year. I just love Robert Downey Jr. He is absolutely amazing in the role of Iron Man. And the redemption in this movie, like the character turn is so convincing. It's so good.
One of the best character arcs ever. I mean, honestly, I think Iron Man has the best character arc in the entire MCU, because he grows even past that first movie. Like, he continuously grows and his character changes all the way up to the very end. And it's absolutely amazing what Robert Downey Jr. did with the character, how he elevated the character.
Yeah, this is a B-tier comic book character at best.
Exactly.
And now he's one of the big boys.
He's one of the big ones, thanks to good old Robert Downey. Iron Man's great.
There's just so much that we take for granted about this movie these days. Like the ending, like where he's like, I'm Iron Man, and he cuts the bullshit with the secret identity. Like, that was huge at that time. Like, every other superhero movie, even The Dark Knight, is so obsessed with like the concept of a secret identity. And I think this was the first like superhero movie that really acknowledged that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love the ending to this movie. It's totally out of left field, and it's just like, I don't know what else to, like, it totally reinvented the superhero genre. With some help from The Dark Knight, obviously, but in terms of the MCU, Iron Man was that point, where it's like, all right, no more messing around, and people started to pay attention to it, and I like it for that. I think that it did did a stellar job at that. And Jon Favreau as the director, I mean, holy hell, like,
yeah, dude,
such a solid movie that he made here, he directed here.
He hasn't even directed that many solid ones since, but like he sure brought his A game to this one.
Yeah, I wish he would direct more things like Iron Man, because Iron Man was great. And yeah.
You cut out. Oh no, Casey, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought your mic like died.
Oh, could you not hear me?
No, I couldn't hear you. You said
Oh.
I, and then you were gone. And I was like, oh no.
Oh, that's okay. I just said I love Iron Man. I am Iron Man. I love Iron Man.
I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man.
Well, yeah, that was a solid list. I mean, I knew that we would have pretty much the same ones, but yet I still found myself surprised at your ability to take L's in the midst of such a universally agreed upon ranking, which is my ranking. Everyone knows it's the best one.
It is, yeah, guys. Isaac does have the best ranking. He's got the universally approved ranking, but what does that say about him as a person? Does it say he's a sheep? Well, yes.
Casey Hubbard has gone on record not liking Lady Bird. He's taken the L on countless blockbuster films. Can we really trust this man to run our podcast? Paid for by the Association of Isaac Udodge and the Marvel Ranking List.
Okay, yes, I have publicly went on record stating that I don't like Lady Bird, but I later retreaded, what I said about Lady Bird. Okay?
Cancel culture's forever, man. You're gone.
I know. Dude, no, my biggest fear is I'm going to get canceled for some stupid shit, like if I ever get like famous or anything.
What?
I don't know like what I would be canceled for, but I just know like there'll be something that people won't like about me. They'll cancel me for saying they'll cancel me for the Lady Bird thing. That'll probably be like the very first
That'll
L
be the
I
thing.
ever take.
Yeah,
that honestly will. And then my professional racial relationship with Greta Gerwig will dissolve just like that.
I feel like my cringe 2012 Facebook posts will get me, like, they're not edgy or anything. They're just really hard to read these days. People will be like, he said freaking instead of fuck back then. That's cringe, bro. We gotta cancel this asshole.
Same. I have a really old Twitter account that I'm trying to find, and there's some pretty bad stuff on there. Like there's absolutely stupid shit. But
well, let us know if you find Casey's Twitter account.
Please don't try to find my Twitter account. I gotta find it and delete it before anybody finds it.
And tell me if you find one of my old Tumblrs, because oh boy,
an old Tumblr.
Anyway, also let us know if you have like an inferior ranking of these movies, because it probably will be. It probably just won't be as good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't even try.
Well, Casey and I will put it up on our fridge though, because we care and we're proud.
True. Well, this was a good episode. I think we ranked. We solidified ourselves as the podcast that likes to. We've solidified ourselves as the podcast that also doesn't talk about oh my god. Okay, I'm going to say this one more time.
Okay, we're going to get this sentence.
We have solidified ourselves as the podcast that not only talks about high art films, but also talks about popular culture. And we are also nerds. We've got that out there, okay? Well, there's a little something for everybody on this podcast. There, also, I said it. I said the sentence.
I'm a bird now. Goodbye, Casey.
Whoa!